chapter 8. We read up to 5th verse. Anto kalecha Maharaja. Now, question is that if we unable to remember Krishna, what will happen? Jang jang vapi sharan bhavam tajati ante kaleva. Tang tamet vaite kantir shadatat bhava. Jam jam, whatever, ba pi, ba opi, at all. Shmaran, remember, bhavam, nature, tyajoti gives up, ante, at the end. Kalevaram, his body. Tam, similar, ever certainly. Eti, gets, kontya, osanakanti, shada, always. Tat bhava, that, bhava. Bhava, state of being, bhavitaha, remembering. Translation. Whatever state of being one remembers, when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Purport. The process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body, thinking Krishna, attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true that a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. This is a point we should note very carefully. How can one die in the proper state of mind? That means out of dying. Maharaja Bharat, although a great personality, thought of a deer at the end of his life. And so, in his next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. Although, as a deer, he remembered his past activities. He had to accept that animal body. Of course, one's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So this life creates one's next life. If one's present life, one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. Even one want to remember at the time of his exam, so he must read whole year. Without reading, how you can remember at the exam? If one is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, then his next body will be transcendental, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. So, if we want to remember the time of death, Tashma, for that reason, what we should do? Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mahamanishmarjutacha Moya Pita Manobuddhir Mame Vashashi Ashamsh. Tasmat, therefore. Conclusion of fifth, sixth verse. Sarveshu Kaleshu, at all times, Ma Manushmaro, go on remembering me, and Yuddhacha, also fight. Moyu Arpito, surrendering unto me in such way, Mano and Buddhi, mind and intellect. What will happen? Ma Bevo Ishwashi, you will attain surely unto me, Asanksha, beyond a doubt. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. At the same time, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet, Krishna Lok, without a doubt. Text 8. Obhasya yoga yuktena chetosha non-nogami paramang purusham dipa jati partha anuchintayan. Obhasya yoga yuktena, being engaged in the practice of meditation. Chetosha non-nogami. Chetosha, but the mind and intellect non-nogami, without their being deviated. No onnogami. Then what will happen? Paramam Purusham Dibbam. Param Purush, the Supreme Purush, transcendental personal body. Dibbam, transcendental. Jati, one achieves. Partha Osana Prita. Unuchintayan, constantly thinking of me. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. In this verse, Lord Krishna stresses the importance of remembering. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna. By this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. This mystic meditation is very easy to practice, and it helps one attain the Supreme Lord. Purusham means enjoy. Although living entities belong to the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord, they are in material contamination. They think themselves enjoyers, but they are not the Supreme Enjoyer. Here it is clearly stated that the Supreme Enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its different manifestations and plenary expansions as Narayan, Vasudeva, etc. The devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord. In any of his features, Narayan, Krishna, Ram, etc. By chanting Hare Krishna, this practice will purify him, and at the end of his life, due to his constant chanting, he will be transferred to the kingdom of God. Yoga practice is meditation of the Supreme, of the Super Soul within. Similarly, by chanting Hare Krishna, one fixes his mind always on the Supreme Law. The mind is fickle, and therefore it is necessary to engage the mind by force to think of Krishna. One example often given is that on the caterpillar. One example often given is that of the caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly and so is transferred into a butterfly in the same life. Similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives, we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. Now, Krishna is saying we should remember that. In which form we should remember? Then again question. Okay, we'll chant Hare Krishna mantra. But Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but remember some form is there. Is Hare Krishna Mahamantra not chanting Hare Krishna? He is impersonal. So which form we should remember? Kaving Puranam Anushashitaram Anor Anyangsham Anushmarit Jaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achinta Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasha Parastha. How to remember him? Kavim. We should think that Krishna knows everything. The one who knows everything. We can't hide anything from him. Puranam, the oldest. Anushashitaram, the controller. Anha. Anha means then the atom. Anyangsham, smaller. Ana anyangsham, smaller than the atom. Anushmaret, always thinks of. Jaha, one who service of everything. Dhataram, dhata. Dhata, vidhata. Dhataram, the maintain. Achinta rupa. Achinta rupa, whose form is inconceivable. Aditya Varnam, luminous like the sun. Tamasha Parasta, is the transcendental to darkness. Tamasha Parasta. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, one who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is inconceivable beyond all material conception, and who is always a person. And Tamasha Parasta is luminous like the sun, Aditya Varnam. Aditya Varnam is luminous like the sun, and Tamasha Parasta. He is transcendental beyond this material nature. Material nature means Tamasha. Transcendental is. The process of thinking of the Supreme is mentioned in this verse. The foremost point is that he is not impersonal or void. One cannot meditate on something impersonal or void. That is very difficult. The process of thinking of Krishna, however, is very easy and is factually stated here. First of all, the Lord is Purush, a person. We think of the person Ram and the person Krishna. And whether one thinks of Rama or of Krishna, what is like is described in the verse, in this verse of Bhagavad. The Lord is Kavi. Kavi means that is, he knows past, present, future, and therefore knows everything. Kavi means scholarly person. So Lord is Kavi, that means he knows past, present, everything. Puranam, Purana. He is the oldest personality because he is the origin of everything. And everything is born out of him. Purana Purusha. But at the same time, he Navajobhan. He is also supreme controller of the universe. And he is the maintainer and instructor of humanity. What is that word? What? Anushashitaram. Anushashan is Shashan. He is also the supreme controller of the universe and he is the maintainer and instructor of humanity. Honor Onyangsham. He is smaller than the smallest. The living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. But the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle. Therefore, he is called smaller than the smallest. As the Supreme, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as the super soul. Although so small, he is still all pervading and maintaining everything. By him, all these planetary systems are sustained. Who often wonder how these big planets are floating in the air. It is stated here that the Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, is sustaining all these big planets and systems of galaxies. They are achinta, inconceivable. This is very significant in this connection. God's energy is beyond our conception, beyond our thinking jurisdiction, and is therefore called inconceivable, achinta. Who can argue this point? He pervades this material world and yet is beyond it. We cannot comprehend even this material world, which is insignificant compared to the spiritual world. So how can we comprehend what is beyond? Achinta means that which is beyond this material world. That which is our argument, logic, and philological speculation cannot touch. That which is inconceivable. Therefore, intelligent persons avoiding useless argument and speculation should accept what is stated in scripture as Vedas, Gita, Bhagavad, and Srimad Bhagavad, and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to understanding. Now 8 verse. Prayan kale manasya chaleno bhakta yukta yoga baleno chaiva bhruvur madhye pranam aveshya sammak sahtam param purusham upayiti lipam. Prayan kale, at the time of death. Manasya achaleno, achal, without its being deviated by the mind. Manasya, by the mind, achala, achaleno, without its being deviated. Bhakta, in full devotion, yukta, engaged, yoga valeno, by the power of mystic yoga. So also, ever, certainly, bhruvur madhye, between the two eyebrows, pranam, the life air, aveshya, establishing, samyak, completely, saw he, tam, that, paramam purusham, param, transcendental personality body, upait assists, deepen in the spiritual thing. One who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life force between the eyebrows. That is called Agya Chakra. There's short chakra. This chakra in between the eyebrows is called Agya Chakra. The practice of short chakra yoga involving meditation on the 6 chakras is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga. But because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his grace. This is explained in this verse 14. Here, Krishna clearly told, Bhruvur Madhya Pranam Avashasham. One should fix consciousness in with the 2 eyelids. And Prabhupada is saying, this is explained in this verse 14. Who is about 14? The pure devotee does not practice such yoga. But because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Person Godhead by his grace. That is why we should read purport. Otherwise, we cannot understand what is the intention behind why is explaining Krishna says. The particular use of the word yoga valeno is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga valeno, the strength of yoga, whether chakra yoga or bhakti yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. You have to come either chakra yoga or bhakti yoga. One cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti Yoga. Since one's mind at death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life. Bhartiram. Jadaksharam Vedo Vadanti Vishanti Jatayo Vitaraga Yat Ichanta Brahmacharjam Charanti Tatte Padam Sang Gruheno Pravakshe. Jat, that is Aksharam, syllable Om. Vedo Vidaha, persons conversant with the Vedas. Veda means Veda, Veda means knower of the Vedas. Vadanti say, Vishanti enter, Jat in which. Jataya, great sages. Jati means sages. Jataya, great sages. Vitaraga, in the renounced order of life. Jat, that is, Ichanta, desiring. Brahmacharjam, celibacy. Charanti, practice. Tat, that, te, unto padam, situation. Sangrahena, in summary, Pravakshe, I shall explain. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. purport. Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Shat Chakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Shat Chakra Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verse. Following verse explain Shat Chakra. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, echo, has various manifestations and features, especially for the impersonal issues. The Akshara or Omkar, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Brahman, into which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize the two features of Brahmana's features. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunctions for the age of Kali, that in this age no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. The Prabhupada has so much importance chanting Hare Krishna. In this section, so many times we mention. Now, from the next verse, there will explain the short chapter. So, from 12, we'll read tomorrow. Does anybody have any question? Comment? Okay, Gulshan.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji Dinatna. Maharaj Ji, here one word same that Kabi we used for Lord Krishna, and also I hear that for Brahma Ji we used Adi Kabi. So what is the difference?
Yeah, what degree one can get, we can apply to Krishna also. Because if anybody has any quality, if we glorify him, but that qualification also there in Krishna. If Brahma is Adi Kavi, then Krishna is also called Adi. Brahma, if we call Brahma Srashta, then Krishna can be called Srashta. So any junior person, any degree you can give, that degree you can give easily to his boss. Clear?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hitarisha.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danat Pranam Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj. My question is this, Maharaj, that like although Lord Krishna will explain impersonal Brahman, but like in a purport, Prabhupada is saying that in this age, no process is more relevant or more important than Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So indirectly, it is like that although this is very right process, but Hare Krishna Mahamantra or our process is sufficient or only main in this Kali Yuga? Like in this way, we should understand, Maharaj.
Like when it's Brahmos is the first qualification. See, unable to maintain brahmacharya, because when you come in contact with ISKCON, that time already has passed. Then by hearing Bhagavad Gita, we become hopeless. So what is the use of them regarding Bhagavad Gita? Because that disqualify. But for them also, it is not only us who are saying in this age of Kali, nobody can. Situation is suffering. So, and for them, this transcendental sound vibration, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only process, especially at this of Kali. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, it is. Go to